When it comes to the DC universe, Hawkman is one of the many characters that gets overshadowed by Batman, Superman, and The Flash. Since the character has lived through many different reincarnations, many individuals took up the mantle of Hawkman. However, one such incarnation turned out to be a twisted murderer going by the name Sky Tyrant. Created by Robert Venditti and artist Patrick Olive, Sky Tyrant was from Earth 3, one of the worlds from the multiverse after Flashpoint. Interestingly, in the reality of Earth 3, the heroes and the villains had their roles reversed. While the supervillains became the protectors, the real heroes we know of became the threats. With immense power and bloodthirst, a bunch of Sky Tyrants can threaten the entire DC universe. So without further delay, let us begin today's video where we will be exploring everything about Sky Tyrant. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Sky Tyrant backstory explored. Following the events of The Dark Knight's Metal, Robert Venditti announced a new series for Hawkman. Being reincarnated several times, Hawkman usually retained his memories from previous lives, but he believed there were gaps. In the new comic series, he discovered a mystical artifact that finally allowed him to gain access to all his memory without gaps. Carter Hall, the present incarnation of Hawkman, becomes aware of all his incarnations and also learns that some of them existed simultaneously. He experienced a vision of his original incarnation, Qatar Deathbringer, who was the general of a race of winged humanoid aliens that traveled across the universe, bringing death and chaos to planets. They were known as the Deathbringers and had slaughtered millions of people and had slaughtered millions of planets like Earth, Run, Thanagar, Krypton, etc. Despite being the leader of the vicious race, Qatar would often be overwhelmed with guilt after slaughtering people, which grew along with the number of deaths until a point where he gave up his conquest and sacrificed the Deathbringers into the void. Upon his death, Qatar was given a chance to redeem himself for his sins by reincarnating as many times as required to save lives as much as he had taken with the Deathbringers. Qatar accepted it, and that was how his life and the reincarnations began. Carter Hall from Earth is then transported through time to the final days of Krypton, where he meets one of his incarnations, Carter-Ol. Being a Hawkman, Carter-Ol also remembered the actions of the Deathbringers and has been making the ultimate weapon to stop them. However, Krypton is soon destroyed and Carter Hall is transported back to his original timeline. Eventually, the Deathbringers arrive on Earth, and after a vicious battle between all versions of Hawkman and the Deathbringers, Carter emerges victorious. Carter then discovered another past life of his where he had become the Sky Tyrant. The story that leads to Sky Tyrant begins with Hawkman Volume 5, Issue 16, published in November 2019. Sky Tyrant was a reincarnation of Qatar on Earth 3. The story begins with Hawkman, aka Carter Hall, teaming up with Richard Swift, aka Shade, to catch the Gentleman Ghost. Teaming with a former villain has been something new for Carter, as in the case of Shade, he believed there was good in him. Together they venture out to the Shadowland to catch the Shadow Thief, who was then being backed by Lex Luthor. Shadow Thief had managed to create his army of shadows that he had stolen from the world of the living. Asking Shade to rest, Carter charges in to find Shadow Thief. There is an abnormal sense of viciousness in Hawkman, as pointed out by Shade, which he strongly recommends Hawkman realizes. Not paying much heed to Shade's words, Hawkman soon encountered Shadow Thief, and they began fighting. After a brief but brutal fight between Hawkman and his shadow at Shadow Thief's command, Hawkman won and went on further to kill Shadow Thief. Not only was his behavior indisposed, but his mace somehow changed into a more deadly weapon with long, sharp spikes. He was about to deliver his final blow to kill Shadow Thief when Shade arrived at the scene and stopped Hawkman by teleporting him out of Shadowland. Hawkman realized a change in him too, and he smashed his mace on a nearby wall, stating that Shadow Thief's life was his. His appearance soon changed, and he called himself the Sky Tyrant. We then get a glimpse of Earth 3's past. Earth 3 was an aberration location where good and evil were reversed. Sky Tyrant existed in that reality and was hunted down by Justice Society All-Stars until they finally managed to get the best of him. The team consisted of Lion Miss, the Pinkerton Ghost, Matter Mage, and Shadow Sheriff, who were the heroes of Earth 3's reality. After a vicious and long fight, Sky Tyrant was taken down and then killed by Shadow Sheriff by phasing his hand through his body and stopping his heart. Sky Tyrant from the present recollects all those memories. Sky Tyrant from the present recollects all these memories of his previous life and accepts his new life in Carter Hall's body. As stated earlier, Carter Hall always felt that there were gaps in his past life memories, and that was the memory of Sky Tyrant that was always locked in his mind. But not anymore, as Sky Tyrant was taken over and wishes to take the lives of as many people as possible. However, he soon encountered the consciousness of Carter Hall in him, who opposed his ideas. Ignoring Ignoring Carter's warnings and reasoning, Sky Tyrant laid his eyes on a domestic airplane with passengers and sought to put an end to all their lives. He soared up to the skies and charged at the airplane, but Carter's consciousness managed to stop him and drop him on the ground into a train. While Sky Tyrant and Carter Hall fought, the arguments made us understand the character better. All versions of Hawkman had the primary motive of saving as many lives as possible, but it was exactly the opposite for Sky Tyrant, who wanted to kill as many people as possible. This aberration was because of Earth 3's reality. The reincarnation of Qatar on Earth 3 discarded his life of penance for his past life's killings. Since he would face his ultimate peaceful death after his penance, Sky Tyrant sought to take lives to live forever. After an argument with Carter Hall, Sky Tyrant looked ahead into the crowd of people and planned to begin slaughtering before Hawkwoman, aka Shayera Tal, appeared before him and asked him to snap out of this, as she believed this to be the regular Carter Hall. While Carter's consciousness watched helplessly, Sky Tyrant and Hawkwoman engaged in a brutal fight. Watching Shayera fight his evil version made Carter's consciousness recollect all the memories with her since the first time he encountered her shadow while being Qatar Deathbringer, and since then she had helped him grow out of his evil side and choose a better path. However, Sky Tyrant has no such feeling and he does not pull punches at him. Shade informed Hawkwoman of how Hawkman was behaving strangely, but little did she know that this version of Hawkman had no sense of mercy or moral code in him. This version was worse than Qatar himself. Sky Tyrant, pretending to get his consciousness back, made Hawkwoman come close to him, kissed her, and was just about to strike her with his mace before Shayera managed to block at the right time. After a long ensuing fight, Shayera gained the upper hand, but Sky Tyrant managed to escape with the help of his interstellar vessel, Sorship's Zeta Transport. Back on his ship, Sky Tyrant gets mocked by Carter's consciousness for getting beaten black and blue by Hawkwoman, but he remains quiet. After a short silence, Sky Tyrant explained why he sought to put an end to all lives. He was afraid of dying, and taking lives was the only way for him to keep resurrecting, as he was cursed to reincarnate endlessly until he had managed to equate his killings by saving an equal number of lives. However, this worries Carter Hall, as the debt of killings has risen to millions thanks to Sky Tyrant. With the minds of Carter Hall and Sky Tyrant, the latter uses Carter's memories to find the secret black journal, revealing more about their history and easier ways to end lives. The story moves ahead to the 20th issue, where we get a glimpse of Katarthal, another incarnation of Hawkman from the past. Katarthal was born on planet Rann, and in his final mission, he sacrificed his life to protect the secret black journal from a fanatical sect on the planet. Currently, Sky Tyrant and Carter's consciousness argue over his actions. Sky Tyrant had retrieved the secret black journal and read through it to learn how he could kill trillions and achieve immortality. As Carter's consciousness struggled to believe how Sky Tyrant, being a version of him, could think of pulling off such malevolency, he heard a voice saying, "Oh, he is you, Carter." The voice was from none other than the Batman who laughs from the dark multiverse. Just as everyone accepted him to have died, Batman who laughs managed to conspire the entire event. He stated that he managed to infect the superhero with a dark multiverse virus during one of Hawkman's missions. Although Carter's nth metal healing abilities managed to fend off the infection for some time, it eventually took over and instated the version of Sky Tyrant in him. As the voice of Batman who laughs left, Sky Tyrant urged Carter's consciousness to help him annihilate a few planets, to which Carter disagreed. Meanwhile, Hawkwoman teamed up with Carter's old friends Adam Strange and Atom to capture and cure him of his infection. Sky Tyrant reached an alien planet in search of an artifact known as the Key, which could release him beyond the void. Upon reaching the planet, Sky Tyrant encountered the protector of the Key, who was none other than one of his previous incarnations, known as the Paladin. Paladin had descended from a line taught by Titan Hawk himself. Paladin was giant-sized and immediately refused to hand Sky Tyrant the Key. Stating that the Key is not to be moved by anybody, the giant-sized Hawkman attacked Sky Tyrant and the two engaged in a battle. Hawkwoman, along with Adam Strange, soon reached the alien world, while Atom hid inside Sky Tyrant's cranial cavity. Atom soon learned that Carter's consciousness was still present but suppressed inside Sky Tyrant. As the fierce battle between Sky Tyrant and Paladin continued, Hawkwoman's team arrived. Despite being huge and strong, Sky Tyrant gained the upper hand after Paladin's mace got destroyed by Sky Tyrant's. Adam Strange retrieved the key, and Atom emitted the neural spike inside Sky Tyrant's brain, which eventually made him collapse. Hawkwoman and her team managed to capture Sky Tyrant as well as the key. Back in her Thanagarian ship, Hawkwoman touches the key and gets a glimpse of all her incarnations in past lives. She gets into an argument with Sky Tyrant, who tricks her and escapes from his confinement. Tearing a hole in the spaceship, he managed to keep Hawkwoman busy while he single-handedly defeated Adam Strange and Atom. He delivered a catastrophic blow to Hawkwoman with his mace and tried to get his key. Carter's consciousness tried everything to control the vicious ferocious beast. Hawkwoman and Sky Tyrant touch the key simultaneously, teleporting them to the realm of the Lord beyond the void. We get a glimpse of another incarnation of Hawkman from the 17th century on Earth. It was Dr. Carlo Salon, a plague doctor in the 17th century Spain. After curing a patient, Dr. Carlo got surrounded by a mob who beat him to death and planned on crucifying him. Fortunately, Nyara, the incarnation of Hawkwoman, arrived and managed to drive off the mobsters. For eons, Hawkwoman has been saving Hawkman and his incarnations from dangers or even his evil path, and this might as well be the same. Back with Hawkwoman and Sky Tyrant in the realm of Void, we see Hawkwoman getting back to her senses first. She found Sky Tyrant lying unconscious beside her and thought of making use of the opportunity to smash the villainous monster with her mace. Before she could strike, she realized that it was not Sky Tyrant anymore. It was Carter, with the infection cured. After sharing a passionate kiss, the two started moving and exploring the realm. They came across huge pillars and thousands of people working relentlessly. Hawkman realized that these people were the ones he had banished to serve the Lord beyond the void as Qatar Deathbringer. While explaining the same to Hawkwoman, when he stated he was Qatar Deathbringer, the slaves attacked him with a vengeance, but he did not retaliate. One of the Deathbringers stabbed the slave and ordered the rest to go back to work. As Carter tried stopping them, the Deathbringers realized that it was Qatar Deathbringer who had betrayed them. Hawkwoman corrected them and stated that he was Carter Hall, and then began a furious battle of Hawkman and the Hawkwoman against all the Deathbringers. After a long fight, the two won over the Deathbringers and were about to return the enslaved people to their home when a loud voice was heard from the skies belonging to the Lord beyond the void. The Lord beyond the void defeated them easily and bound them to a stone monolith. The evil deity began draining their energies to accumulate sufficient powers to cross over into the universe. Carter and Shira released all energy and power they had from all the 1,000 lives they had lived, overloading and destroying the Lord. They died as well and woke up in the afterlife, reverting to Shira and Qatar, their first incarnations. The deity appeared before them and informed Qatar that his debt was paid. The deity offered them to choose their life for their next and final reincarnation. The two agreed to go back to their life in the 1940s as the Golden Age Hawkman and Hawkwoman, where they were amongst their friends from the Justice Society of America. Their life would be a long and substantial one, but essentially as mortals this time. What makes Sky Tyrant so deadly? When Carter's consciousness asked the Batman who laughs as to why he had chosen him for his malevolent motives, the twisted Batman stated that there was no one who could do more damage like the Hawkman. Despite being overshadowed by other popular figures, Hawkman is one of the strongest DC characters. Being Sky Tyrant just enhanced his capabilities and made him lose all moral constraints. Driven by the need to end as many lives as possible, Sky Tyrant indeed became a great threat to the DC universe. He possessed divine knowledge as he retained all memories of his 1,000 lives along with the knowledge of different languages. He is also a highly skilled hand-to-hand combatant along with his lifetimes of practice. On Earth 3, Sky Tyrant was the chairman of the Injustice Society for a long time, which signifies his leadership skill. Hawkman carried a mace, which in the case of Sky Tyrant was a vicious one with sharper and longer retractable spikes. He wore protective armor made of the nth metal, enhancing his superhuman strength and durability. The nth metal also granted him accelerated healing abilities. His artificial feathered wings not only gave him the ability to fly, but also helped him navigate. Taking over Carter's body, Sky Tyrant had control over a past Rannian incarnation's ship, probably Qatar Thals, which had an nth metal core and Zeta drive, helping him travel through both space and time. Conclusion. We have finally come to the end of the video and we hope it has been informative and entertaining. The entire story revolving around Sky Tyrant successfully delivers the message of how catastrophic a twisted Hawkman can be. Earth 3, where good and evil are reversed, had the prime villains serving as the main superheroes. Even the names have been changed, most significantly with the Shadow Thief being known as the Shadow Sheriff. Sky Tyrant is evil and is driven by fear of dying, for which he chose his path of killing as many beings as possible to live for eternity. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.